Let me tell you something. There's a kind of silence that comes after you hit rock bottom. Not the sad, movie-type silence. No, it's the kind that rings in your ears like a concussion. That moment, right there, on the driveway of my own house, with my twin boys watching, my face hitting the concrete, and Chase, her lover, standing over me like some cocky gorilla in a tight polo. That moment redefined everything I thought I knew about pain. And the worst part? She didn't flinch. Nicole just stood there, arms crossed, eyes glazed, wearing that smug little half-smile like she was watching some low-budget drama unfold on Netflix. My wife, didn't say a word while another man humiliated me in front of my sons. What kind of mother does that? Chase, 6 feet of gym rat insecurity, stepped back and said again, louder this time, "Your dad's weak." My kids, Jackson and Caleb, froze. 9 years old and already old enough to know this wasn't some joke. Caleb reached for my hand like he wanted to help me up. Jackson just stood, shaking, his little fist clenched like he might try to fight the guy himself. I should have walked away, called the cops, took the high road. But I'd had enough. I got up slowly, quietly. Something broke in me, something clean. I remember hearing the snap of my own bones before his. 10 minutes later, Chase was sobbing on the lawn like a toddler while I held his wrist twisted back against its natural direction. His knuckles were deformed, cracked like thin ice under pressure. He screamed like a dying animal. Nicole screamed too, but not for me. "Stop. You're crazy. What's wrong with you, Evan?" I looked her dead in the eyes, blood on my knuckles. "What's wrong with me? You let that clown put his hands on me in front of our children, and I'm the problem." Her only answer was a slap, sharp, sudden, shocking. I just stood there and let her. My kids screamed this time. Jackson shoved her, yelling, "Leave Daddy alone." That nearly broke me again. But let me back up, because this wasn't just some random eruption. This moment, this fight on my front lawn in suburbia, was a climax. The affair didn't start here, but the lies, the cold stares, the missing hours, they'd been dripping into my life for months like poison in my coffee. I just didn't want to believe it. Not from Nicole. We met in college. She was wild, yeah, but I was the anchor. I grounded her. Or so I thought. She used to call me her home. Somewhere along the way, I guess home got boring. I should have known something was off 2 months ago when she lost her phone for the 4th time in a week. Or when she started dressing like she was heading to Miami clubs to grab groceries. And definitely when she stopped letting me touch her. Always tired. Always moody. Her kisses felt like customer service, mandatory and fake. One night, I saw her smile at a text and hide the screen like a teenager. I asked her who it was. She said, "Melissa, from yoga class." Melissa had moved to Denver 2 years ago. I didn't say anything. I just filed it away. Then the phone call started, late, muffled, fast. Always in the bathroom. Always with the shower running. She thought that was clever. But what sealed it for me was Caleb. "Dad," he whispered one night, "Mom kissed a man who's not you." At the mall. It felt like a gunshot through my spine. I followed her the next day. No confrontation. Just shadowed her like a ghost in my own life. She went to a friend's house. 30 minutes later, she walked into a downtown apartment complex and buzzed up. A man opened the door. She didn't hesitate, just kissed him. Not a peck. Not friendly. It was deep. Intimate. Hungry. That man? Chase. Her trainer. And tonight, this same clown pushed me down in front of my sons and declared me weak. That's why I broke his hands. But this story isn't about violence. It's about betrayal. And about what comes next. Because after I left him sobbing and her screaming, I packed a bag, grabbed my kids, and left. No words. No drama. Just silence. The kind of silence that cuts deeper than any insult ever could. And trust me, this is just the beginning. The drive to my brother's house was almost silent, except for Caleb's occasional sniffles in the back seat. I could see them both through the rearview mirror, curled up with their backpacks, still in shock. I had blood on my knuckles and dirt on my jeans, and I didn't even care. I should have been trembling, but all I felt was heat, boiling, bitter heat crawling up the back of my neck like I was about to explode again. My brother, Tyler, met us at the door. No questions. Just opened the door, took one look at me, then at the boys, and stepped aside. "You staying the night or moving in?" he asked flatly. "Don't know yet," I said. "Probably both." I didn't sleep. Just sat on the floor of the guest room with a beer in one hand and the image of Chase's face crushed beneath my elbow replaying in my head. Not out of pride, out of rage. Out of this deep, sickening realization that the woman I built a life with stood behind him. Let him humiliate me. Let him mock me. And then had the audacity to scream at me for defending myself. And she had the nerve to text me 2 hours later. You're insane. The kids don't need to see that. You traumatized them. I'm calling a lawyer. I stared at the message like it was a prank. No apology. No explanation. Just blame. So I replied. You stood there and let him put his hands on me. In front of our kids. You traumatized them. We're done. She didn't answer. Not that night. Not until the next afternoon, when she finally called. I didn't pick up. I let it ring. Again. And again. 8 times in a row. Eventually, I answered. Her voice was ice. Evan, we need to talk like adults. You're being dramatic. Dramatic. I said, my voice low. Nicole, our kids watched your boy toy knock me down. And you didn't even blink. He didn't knock you down. Evan. You tripped. Don't twist the story. I almost laughed. You really going to rewrite reality that fast? The boys saw it. I felt his hands on my chest. She sighed, bored, like she was already tired of me. Can we not make this about your ego? My ego? My ego? It was like I was talking to a stranger. A manipulative, soulless stranger. This wasn't the Nicole I married. This wasn't the woman I watched give birth to our sons, who once cried in my arms when her dad passed. That woman was gone. Replaced by someone cold, calculating, cruel. You cheated, I said, flat out. You've been sneaking around behind my back, lying to our kids, disrespecting me in our home. And you let some random jackass put hands on me in front of them. And I'm the one you're calling unstable? You're embarrassing yourself, she said calmly. We haven't been happy for years. Maybe if you'd been more of a man. I hung up. There was no salvaging this. No therapy. No, let's talk this through. She crossed a line she couldn't uncross. And now, I had decisions to make. But first, I needed the truth. All of it. So I started digging. Pulled her phone records. Socials. Found burner numbers. Receipts. Hotel check-ins. Instagram photos she'd forgotten to archive. Photos of her with him. In a robe. On a balcony. Drinking champagne. One was time-stamped from the same weekend she told me she was at her mother's, feeling unwell. Lying came naturally to her. I started to wonder how long she'd been doing it. My lawyer confirmed what I feared. California was a no-fault divorce state, which meant her betrayal meant nothing legally. She could screw around all she wanted and still demand custody, child support, alimony. But I had something she didn't. I had proof. And I had the boys on my side. The next time she called, I let it go to voicemail. Then I sent her a Dropbox folder full of every photo, every message, every hotel receipt I'd compiled over the last 72 hours. Labeled it, for the judge. She didn't call back after that. But I knew better. Nicole never goes down quiet. And the next time she showed up, she didn't come alone. She brought Chase. He wore a cast on his hand, still swollen from what I did to it. He grinned through the pain. Nicole smirked. Thought we talked this out. I looked at her. Then at him. You brought him to my brother's house? Chase stepped forward. You gonna hit me again in front of your kids, coward? And just like that, it was on. But this time, I wasn't the one who got hurt. Tyler was already moving before I could say a word. He stepped between us, his voice calm but sharp. You need to leave. Now. Nicole rolled her eyes and crossed her arms like she was at a PTA meeting. We're just here to talk. No, Tyler said. You came to provoke. With him. On Evan's turf. You're not that stupid, Nicole, unless Chase here is rubbing off on your brain cells. Chase grinned through the pain, still favoring the arm I'd dislocated. Not my fault your brother can't handle a real man stepping up. That was it. Before Tyler could stop me, I was in Chase's face. Inches. He didn't move. Didn't flinch. Probably thought I wouldn't risk hitting him again. But he didn't know I'd been fighting to keep it in, not the other way around. You stepped in front of my kids again, I said quietly. You opened your mouth one more time. Now you're gonna learn what I do when I'm not trying to keep the peace. He didn't laugh this time. Just blinked. Nicole got between us, pushing me with both hands. Grow the hell up. You're not scaring anyone. She was yelling now, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Tyler's wife came out with the boys and pulled them inside. Nicole turned on me, breathing fast, mascara smudged under one eye. You're pathetic. You couldn't keep me satisfied. Couldn't keep me happy. Couldn't keep your temper. And now you're trying to act like the victim? I smiled. Actually smiled. That's when she got nervous. I'm not acting like the victim, I said. I'm just documenting the downfall. What's that supposed to mean? I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and played the audio. Her voice, crystal clear. Maybe if you'd been more of a man. Then my voice. You cheated. You've been sneaking around. Her again. We haven't been happy for years. She froze. Her face changed. Just for a second. Chase looked at her like he didn't know what she was about to say next. This isn't legal, she hissed. You can't record me. California's a two-party state. But see, you said all that in front of our kids. And the judge? He'll be very interested in what they witnessed. You're bluffing, she said, but her voice cracked. I'm not bluffing anything, I said, turning to Chase. And you? You might want to get that hand rechecked. My lawyer said it could have been worse. You're out of your mind. No, I'm done being out of my mind. Now I'm focused. And you're trespassing. Nicole backed off first, which surprised me. Chase tried to puff up again, but when Tyler stepped up behind me, he finally took the hint. They left. She didn't even look back. When the doors shut, I dropped to the floor like the strength drained out of me. Tyler didn't say a word. Just sat beside me, tossed me a bottle of water. I loved her, I said. It came out raw. More broken than angry. I know, he said. She let him. I couldn't even finish. She just stood there. Said I traumatized them. Can you believe that? I can, he said. Because I've seen it before. People show their true faces when they think they've won. That night, I didn't sleep again. But I started writing everything down. Every date, every lie, every conversation. I put together a timeline. Not just to show the court, but to understand it for myself. To see where it all started falling apart. And how much I'd ignored. The truth was, the signs had been there for a year. Maybe more. The disappearing dates. The cold shoulder. The night she had migraines, but wore perfume to bed. The sudden obsession with her phone. She'd even changed the lock screen password from our anniversary date to a random number. At first, I thought it was work stress. Or depression. Or maybe something I did. But no, it wasn't me. It was them. The secret they were keeping. I stopped blaming myself around 4 a.m., staring at the ceiling, knowing the storm was just starting. Nicole wasn't going to walk away clean. She had no idea what kind of man I'd become the moment she looked me in the eye and watched me fall and felt nothing. And the next step? That was going to be the real reckoning. 2 days later, I got a call from the school. Mr. Carter? We had an incident with your sons today. My chest tightened. What kind of incident? There was a physical altercation. Caleb punched a classmate. Apparently, the boy made a comment about your wife. About another man living with her now. I didn't even answer. Just drove straight to the school, barely seeing the road. When I walked into the office, Caleb was sitting with his arms crossed, red-faced, jaw locked like mine used to get when I was trying not to cry. Jackson was next to him. I was darting between the floor and the guidance counselor's desk. Mr. Carter, the counselor started. We understand there are changes at home. But violence. Spare me the lecture, I said, kneeling beside Caleb. You okay? He nodded. He said Mom has a new husband. That she doesn't want us anymore. That we're better off with him. The rage that exploded in me wasn't loud. It was silent. It lived behind my eyes, in the way I squeezed his shoulder and stood up without another word. That night, I called Nicole. She picked up on the second ring. What? Who's telling our sons that Chase is their stepdad? She sighed. Oh my God. Is that what this is about now? Evan, they were going to find out eventually. It's not like I'm hiding anything. You're telling other people that he's their stepfather? We're not even divorced yet. Well, maybe if you weren't dragging your feet with the paperwork. Don't, I snapped. Don't turn this around. You moved him into our home before you even filed. You've introduced him to our boys as some kind of replacement. Because you're unstable, she said. You lost it. You assaulted him. You think that's normal behavior? I defended myself. From a man who assaulted me in front of my sons. You watched it happen. You let it happen. You're impossible to talk to, she muttered, and the line went dead. I stared at my phone, my jaw clenched so tight I thought I'd crack a molar. She was painting me as violent, as dangerous, setting the stage for a custody war. And I had to be smart now, because one wrong move, and she'd use it against me. I started documenting everything. Every conversation, every visit, every time the boys came back from her place and told me something that made my stomach churn. Like the fact that Chase walked around in nothing but a towel. Or that Nicole locked the boys in their room, so she could have quiet time. They didn't say what happened during quiet time, but I didn't need details. One night, Caleb asked, Daddy, what does it mean when Mommy says Chase is a real man? I had to leave the room. I couldn't look him in the eye. The next day, I requested full custody. My lawyer said it would be tough. Unless you can prove emotional or physical neglect, judges lean toward joint custody. You're going to need more than a few creepy stories. So I hired a private investigator. He moved fast. Within a week, I had photos of Chase yelling at the boys in a parking lot, of Nicole chugging wine in her car before picking them up, of them leaving the kids home alone while they went to some hotel in Malibu. It was enough. I filed the motion. Nicole didn't see it coming. She called me at 11 p.m. screaming, "How dare you? You're trying to take my children from me?" "No," I said calmly. "I'm trying to protect them. From you. From the circus you've made our lives into. You think a judge will side with you? You're just a washed-up office drone with a temper. You're a liar with a boyfriend who breaks into fights in front of children." She was quiet for a second. Then she said, "You'll regret this," and hung up. The next morning, someone slashed the tires on my car. Tyler had a camera out front. The footage showed Chase sneaking around at 3 a.m. in a hoodie. I sent it to my lawyer, and suddenly, everything shifted. Nicole was losing control, and she knew it. She started texting me sweetly, sending me just checking in messages, old photos, fake nostalgia. I didn't respond, because I wasn't her punching bag anymore. And she was starting to realize she'd picked the wrong man to betray. A week later, she showed up at my door. No warning, no text, just her standing there like she hadn't turned my life into a circus, dressed like she was on her way to a date, but with just enough tear gloss in her eyes to fake sincerity. The same eyes that used to look at me like I was her whole world. Now, they were hunting something, pity, maybe, or leverage. "I just want to talk," she said. I didn't move, didn't invite her in. Tyler was out back with the kids, and I wasn't about to let her pull another performance in front of them. "So talk." She shifted her weight, clearly not used to not being in control of the moment. "Evan, this is getting ugly. We were supposed to be adults. Co-parents. Not enemies." I let out a short breath. "You brought that walking hormone into my house. You made this war." She ignored that. "The boys need stability. They need both of us." "They had both of us," I snapped. "Until you traded their father for a guy with a six-pack and the IQ of a wet sponge." Her lip curled. "Wow, you're still so bitter. Nicole, you let a man put hands on me in front of our children. And you stood there like it was a movie." Her eyes narrowed. "You keep spinning it like that, Evan, but you're not as innocent as you act." "I am innocent," I said, my voice low. "I didn't cheat. I didn't lie. I didn't bring strangers into their lives." "You did." Silence. Then she leaned in just slightly. "You know what your problem is? You're boring. Predictable." I needed more. There it was. The truth in her own voice. Sharp and smug and unfiltered. "Then why not divorce me like an adult?" I asked. "Why pretend? Why the months of sneaking, the gaslighting, the lies to the kids?" Her voice dropped, like she thought she was delivering some kind of revelation. "Because you wouldn't have let go. You would have begged. You always beg." Something snapped. Not loud. Just a slow, cold realization sliding into place. I smiled. "You really don't know me anymore." She took a step back, clearly thrown off by how calm I'd become. I stepped outside, pulling the door closed behind me. "I'm not that man. Not anymore. You don't get to control this narrative." She folded her arms. "Then let's see what the judge thinks when I show him the video of you breaking Chase's hand." I pulled out my phone and played the footage from Tyler's security camera, Chase slashing my tires. Her face drained of color. "Guess what else the judge will see?" I said. "The photos. The PI report. Your little quiet time routines. The boys talking to the school counselor." "You son of a..." "You'll lose," I said. "Not because I'm trying to destroy you, but because you already destroyed yourself." She backed up, stumbled a little on the step. "You think you're going to win everything?" "No. I know I've already won something. I got away from you." She left without another word. 3 days later, the emergency custody hearing was held. I brought everything. Documents. Testimony from the boy's teacher. The PI's report. Caleb even spoke, brave and clear, saying he didn't feel safe at Mom's house anymore. Nicole? She tried the charm, tried the tears. But judges see through that, especially when the paper trail's thick and the truth is ugly. I walked out with primary custody. She stormed past me in the hallway after the verdict. Didn't even look at the boys. Just hissed, "You've ruined my life." I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. She did that to herself. And in that moment, I realized I didn't feel rage anymore, or grief, or even satisfaction. Just peace. A quiet, calm peace that came from knowing the worst was over. Almost. Because the last part of this story? That's when I start rebuilding. And when she finally learns what it means to truly lose. It started with small things, waking up without a pit in my stomach, brushing my teeth without picturing her lies, packing my boys' lunches with a kind of stillness I hadn't felt in over a year. I didn't blast revenge songs or burn her old clothes. I didn't need to. The best revenge was her absence. But peace never lasts long with someone like Nicole. She started circling. Fake friendly texts. Caleb left his sweatshirt here. Want me to drop it off? He asked about your mom's birthday. Should I remind him to call? Or my personal favorite. Chase and I are taking a break. Just thought you should know. Yeah, sure. Like I gave a damn. I didn't answer. I didn't react. And that's when she got mean again. I came home one evening from work, and there were bruises on Caleb's arm. Not new. Not fresh. But clear. What happened? I asked him, trying to keep my voice steady. He hesitated. Looked down. Mom got mad when I spilled her wine on the couch. My hands clenched. Did she hit you? No, he whispered. She just grabbed me too hard. I didn't wait. I didn't sleep on it. I filed an emergency protective order that same night. The next week was chaos. Court hearings. Home visits. Nicole screaming in the hallway outside the judge's office, calling me a manipulative coward, a thief, a liar. She tried to turn everything upside down. Claimed I coached the kids. Claimed I was emotionally abusive. That I used the system to punish her for falling out of love. But the reports told the truth. So did Caleb's tears. The judge granted supervised visitation. 3 hours a week. Neutral location. Monitored. No contact outside of it. Nicole didn't show up the first 2 weeks. Sent a message through her lawyer. She needs time to process. My boys stopped asking for her after that. One night, Jackson came into my room and said, Dad, does Mommy hate us? I held him tight. No, buddy. She doesn't know how to love right now. He nodded like he understood something I didn't even fully understand myself. And that's when the shift happened. I stopped chasing justice and started building something better. Week by week, our home changed. I put up new pictures, painted over the old beige walls she used to complain about, bought new plates, cooked with the boys. We laughed more, slept better. I caught myself smiling at traffic lights for no reason. Then, one afternoon, the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Chase. Alone. No cast. No smug expression. Just a hollow look in his eyes. What do you want? I asked. He rubbed the back of his neck. She's gone. She took my credit cards, drained my account, and moved out while I was at work. I didn't respond. I wasn't surprised. She told me everything was your fault. That you were crazy. That you manipulated the kids. I stared at him, saying nothing. She used me, he said quietly. Used everyone. I still said nothing. Then he added, I'm sorry. For the driveway. For what I said in front of your kids. I didn't know she'd turn on me too. I studied him for a second. Then said, you know what the worst part is, Chase? I warned you. I told you exactly what she was. And you thought you were different. He nodded slowly. I did. I closed the door. Not out of anger. But because some stories don't need sequels. That night, I took my boys out for ice cream. We sat on the hood of the truck under the stars. Caleb leaned against my side. Jackson cracked jokes about his teacher's breath. I just listened. And in that quiet moment, I realized. Nicole didn't break me. She set me free. The letter came 2 months later. Plain envelope. No return address. Just my name in that familiar, sharp, slanted handwriting that used to leave notes on my bathroom mirror, back when I still believed in her. Inside, 1 page. No apology. No warmth. Just desperation dressed as grace. Evan. Maybe one day, when the dust settles, you'll realize I was hurting too. I didn't know how to ask for more, so I found it elsewhere. Maybe I failed as a wife, but you weren't perfect either. Tell the boys I love them. Nicole. I folded it in half without finishing the last lines. Tossed it in the drawer, under a stack of court papers and doctor bills she still hadn't helped pay. She never tried to get custody back. Never asked for another visit. She disappeared the same way she crept into betrayal, quietly, selfishly, completely. And in her absence, we healed. Caleb started laughing again, those wild, uncontrollable giggles that made me choke up in the kitchen once. Jackson became fiercely protective of his brother, almost too grown for his age, always watching, always checking doors at night like a little soldier. Me? I learned to breathe again. The house became ours. Not the one she decorated, but the one we rebuilt. I let the boys draw on the walls of the basement. We turned the garage into a Nerf gun arena. I burned the bed sheets she picked out and bought ones in navy blue, simple, quiet, mine. One night, as I tucked the boys in, Jackson asked, "Do you still love her?" I didn't answer right away. Then I said, "I don't even know who she is anymore." He nodded. "I don't either." That hurt. But it also told me he was going to be okay. We all were. And here's the thing no one tells you about being betrayed. It doesn't destroy you. Not if you refuse to let it. It teaches you. Forces you to see clearly. Forces you to bleed, to burn, and then, if you're strong enough, to rise. Nicole taught me something I didn't know I needed to learn. How to protect my peace. How to fight for my boys. How to finally love myself without needing someone else to do it for me. And if you're reading this, if you're the man who just found the texts or stood silent while she came home at 2 a.m. smelling like guilt, listen to me. You are not weak. You are not crazy. You are not to blame for her choices. But you are responsible for what happens next. So get up. Dust off the pieces. Take your kids. Take your pride. Take your time. And walk out of the fire with your head high, because the man she betrayed isn't the one you'll become. He's just the one who survived her. And that's something she'll never forget.